Hello everybody, this is David Metlasic and I welcome you to my first refurbishment video. I was asked to do some sort of thing by my friends who have seen my previous refurbishment projects on various Commodore related hardware. And allow me to present you this beautiful old Commodore 1541 disk drive, original first generation, not the C one that I already have. I picked this beauty up at an old hardware store which houses a lot and lots of old vintage equipment. Not much Commodore stuff, but yeah, so I bought this up kind of cheap. I know that it turns on. I know that it doesn't produce the flashing error light on the front. So I think that it should work. Problem with this, as you can see, well, it had some rougher days. It has a lot of scuff marks, kind of dirty. Overall, I would say 3.6. Not great, not terrible. So first of all, let's pick this thing apart and let's see what's inside. So I'm going to use my trusty old Phillips screwdriver, turning this beauty upside down and see what happens. This thing is held together by 4 standard ordinary screws, and I guess I'm using another screwdriver because this somehow doesn't work. Maybe it's too small. Look at this old thing. This comes from my grandfather, and although it's probably older than the Commodore itself, it works. It actually catches the old screw heads. Yep, this is how it goes. Old tech and old tools to repair them. Yep. Let's see if I can actually fish them out with the magnetic heads of the new screwdriver. Nah, won't work. Alright, let's turn it upside down. Hopefully the screws won't just fall out. Needs some more work, of course it does. These things were put together quite nicely. A gentleman I knew used to say this was the time when ships were made of wood and men were made of steel. This thing was made of high quality plastic and all the nitty-gritty stuff. Oh, look at this, screws are already coming out. I'm putting them inside this little thingy I have. And yep, here we go. Look at that beauty, first generation. Those voltage regulators seems a bit knocked off, but they look firmly screwed in place, so I don't see any major problem. One more screw and should be one more. Yep, found it here. Let's give it some gentle prying, and here it is. So I'm surprised it's in a really good shape, and I thought it would be full of dust and something. My 1541 looked terrible, full of dust and whatever, gunk from 30 years. Mechanism is nice and firm. Alright, Now what I'm about to do is that I will remove the whole mechanism on the inside, and I will put that aside so I can clean it up separately, and I can actually do a good old scrubbing on the case, because yeah, it looks kind of nasty. I mean, yeah, look at this. It might not pick on the camera, but it has weird dark marks, like not the Harry Potter style dark marks, but you know, like dust marks, grime marks. I'm gonna get rid of that. And also, I will be putting heat sinks on these chips. Now these floppy drives, they are notorious for one thing, and that is that because they have a power supply on the underside, it works like a toaster. I mean, it gets so hot that if you put your hands on top of it, it won't burn you, of course. It's not generating that much heat, but yeah, I mean, you can feel it's actually hot, and it's probably not doing the best for all these electronics. So what I'm gonna do now is that I will remove the internals. Let's put this away for a bit. Let's give it space. Into the sink it will go. But now let's get rid of this screw so I can remove this whole thing. Quite firm, I like it. What I like is in these things, I mean, some say that they are flimsy and whatever. Allow me to disagree. These things were made of good quality material. This unit in particular was made in Japan, it says on the sticker on the back, and we all know that even back then Japan was like the height of technology. Beautiful technology, all coming from the overseas. I mean, if you look at the label on the actual drive mechanism itself, it says Mitsumi. Sounds Japanese to me. I don't know if Commodore actually bought this company or Mitsumi made drives for other companies, but yeah, it seems to be some kind of common piece of tech. I've seen it on my 1541C disk drive or the 64C. You might be asking, what the heck am I doing with two screwdrivers? Well, this one, the actual Phillips screwdriver, is too small for these heads. They somehow like won't catch really, especially with this old plastic, like stuck there really good. But it's magnetic, so I can fish out the screws once I manage to take them out with this ancient screwdriver I've inherited from my grandpa. Now this one comes out quite easily. Here we go. So let's see if I can lift this baby out. It moves. Okay, now let's take care of one more thing, because as you can see here, there is the little power LED light, and I don't want to somehow damage it. So what I'm going to do is I simply disconnect this little light, And now, look at that. Undocking from the mothership. And here we go. Now what, let's look at on the bottom side. Look at that massive power supply there. I mean, that looks like a small warp reactor of a starship or something like that. Yeah, if you didn't know, already I'm a massive Star Trek fan. Yep, okay, so let's move these a bit around. Yep. And that was my camera, sorry. It's just my phone on a crappy little tripod. Now what I'm gonna do, there's actually a little plastic ring that holds it together. I'm grabbing a little pair of force or something like that, just a moment. Look what your boy David found. Okay, now let's just twist it slightly. Don't want it to break off. Is that glue? Don't know if the camera picks it up. There's some kind of white gunk. It might be some kind of glue. Or the bloody thing just reacted with itself, the two pieces of plastic, over all these years. Wouldn't be surprised. Okay, here we have the LED and the little retainer ring, and the other side. It looks like, look at that. It looks like it's melted or something like that. Because it doesn't feel like glue, doesn't look like glue. I think it's simply fused together partially after all these years. Okay, let's put this away for safekeeping. Okay, so look at that. Those aren't dust bunnies, those are dust hairs. Night of the Lepus, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, I'm gonna give these a good scrub and let's see if it gets any better. Alright, so let's start with the bottom piece. Look at that, have you seen that? That's some kind of big nasty hair, whatever that's come out of it. I don't know, I don't want to know. And what I'll be using is this disinfectant liquid soap thing and this standard old brush. Very wet. Apply it liberally, we're not sparing any expense. This is where it actually comes to play, because you can see like these darker marks here. Let's get some elbow grease into that, shall we? Look at the runoff. Don't know how much the camera picks it up, but it's kind of nasty. Alright, let's give it a rinse. Okay, it still needs some work, but most of it has come off. Okay, let's do initial scrubbing on the top part as well. Here you go. Look at that. These lines look actually burnt in, as if either being touched by some kind of hot metal or something like that, or had some kind of wire wrapped around them, and the chemical that makes the cables, pliable, interacted with the plastic. I've seen that on actual Commodore case plastics. But enough talk, let's do the work. Clean the grooves up. Because thing needs to be groovy. Yeah, going gentle here. I don't want to damage this little part here. And of course, just gentle scrub here. I don't want to damage the decals. When I retrobite these things, I actually remove these with a heat gun, because that makes the glue soft again, and you can simply peel it off without tearing the stickers. But because I won't be retrobriting this, I just left them there and won't go really medieval on them. Okay, let's see. Well, it got a bit better. This side most definitely. Still some black marks. Especially this one, look here. This one. Okay, this might need some extra work. Okay guys, let's leave it here. I will do some extra cleaning work on them and we will continue. Okay guys, so one final thing before the first part ends. As you can see, I've done some more scrubbing. Still glistening wet, but look at that, looks brand new. What I actually used is a product called CIF or CIF, I don't know how it's pronounced. But it's a rubbing compound, but it doesn't leave any stains, so it won't scuff up all your plastics, dishes, whatever. So yeah, I'm just letting the air dry this, and after that, tomorrow we will be doing some further dismantling, cleanup and reassembly now on the insides. So let's begin part 2 of the refurbishment. Last night I scrubbed the casing of the floppy disk drive, so now we can begin dismantling the actual insides. And what I mean is that I will be removing these screws, removing the circuit board, and then we will do some cleaning on the internals, the mechanisms. Now before I will disconnect these things here, I will mark them in their exact position with a Sharpie so I won't get them confused when I'm reassembling them. Okay, so let's like this one. 1, 2. All different. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't be able to mix these up, but I just want to go sure. I don't want to cause some trouble. Look at that, this connector has been knocked sideways already. But no props, we will disconnect them. Disconnect them anyways. That's the power line. and all of these are the data lines. Gently, don't want to break the leads. Here comes the big boy, and last but not least, now I know that those who have experience in this probably just pop them off without giving a second thought. I'm going slowly and gently because I don't want to cause any trouble. Okay, now that we got these out of the way, let's start some disassembly. You can see that these washers have some kind of shock absorber on them. By the way, I'm putting all the screws into one little jar, and I won't actually confuse them because separate pieces use separate kinds of screws. So here we go. The motherboard removed. Look at that. This looks brand new. No cap leak, no dirt, no nothing. I will of course give them some compressed air. Okay. So, look at that. Not bad. I will be, of course, cleaning the chips, the top of the chips with isopropyl alcohol before I apply heat sinks to them. But now, so the first thing I want to do is to give them some compressed air. It's not too dirty, but you know, just to be sure. Squeaky clean. Actually, more dirt came off of the circuit board than the mechanism itself. But what I want to show you, look at that head. You can actually feel that it's stiff. And of course, it won't work like that. I mean, it will work, but it will be terrible. So I will be using this. This is WD-40 lithium grease, and I will use this to lubricate the moving parts. So I'm just gonna apply it to the rails. And I will just move them. I can actually feel them, feel the head running much more smoother. Feels quite nice now. Okay, then adding some lubrication here on this mechanism. Latch mechanism. All the moving parts. Because yes, this is a mechanism that's moving all around, all the motors spinning, all the heads spinning. Let's get these out of the way. It feels even more smooth now. Alright, I would say that the mechanics already fixed. Let's move on to cleaning this bit up a bit. So what I'm going to do is that I will just wet this Q-tip with isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to gently open this up, not too much because it might damage the little spring inside, and just give it a nice wipe. I have no cleaning disc or something like that. I never owned one. It's probably been 20 years since they made one. Might get a new old stock if I'm really getting into this. Look at that. Look what came off of it. The clean part and the dirty part. Okay, I will give this some more scrubbing. Never thought that it would come out so nasty. I mean, the C disk drive was dusty on the inside, but the head was pristine. Okay, looks much better now. Look what came off of it. Okay, moving them around. Okay, as of now I'm fine with this. I won't be dabbling in the electronics, this is not my part. As I know that the power supply is working, the motor spins up, and there is no error light on the front when I start this up. I will now clean up the PCB, and then we will add heat sinks. Alright everybody, so I've put everything back together after giving everything a good cleaning and lubricating the mechanisms. Now what I'm going to do is that I will add heat sinks to these chips. First of all, I need to clean the chips so that the heat sinks could be glued down properly. I'll be using this isopropyl alcohol pad, and all I'm going to do is just giving them a good old wipe. Look what came off of them. So yeah, these can be pretty dirty after all these years. So yeah, I simply remove the protective film. I'm just gonna stick them on here on the middle. This was a bit wonky, but I think it will hold. Alright, that should be it. Now, one more final spray. Just to get off everything I might have missed. And we can close it up. So here's the bottom part. And I just clip it on. And of course use the screws to bring it all together. Would you look at that? Seems to be working fine. Okay, I'm just grab a wet towel and clean up the front bezel. Alright, so there was one thing that I left out during reassembly, and that was the front power LED. I was stupid, I know, so what I did is that I took off the top part and wiggled it inside. I did not show footage of that because I don't want to bore you with all the swearing and cursing I've done, because I didn't want to remove the PCB again just to have more space to reassemble that, so I used the little pliers to put everything back together. But now it's time for a test. Standard power cord, and always make sure that the switch is in the off position before you try it out. Be prepared for the magic smoke, which hopefully won't come. Plugging it in. It's spinning on. Sounds good. Let's see. Would you look at that? In the words of Neil Armstrong, contact light. Alright, this looks mighty fine. Now all we need to do is test it with the Commodore. Alright guys, time for some shaky cam. I have put everything together. Basically just unplug the cables from my 1541C. Plug them inside the classic 1541. The motor spins up, no error light, and now we'll try to load something with an actual floppy disk. It's working. It's working. Here goes nothing. I don't know if my sound can be heard through the music, but this is the sweetest music to my ears, as it shows that my little refurbishment job has been complete. Thank you very much and have a nice day.